Hello, New York Yankees fans. We have brand new exclusive videos and the latest news for you. Before we get started, we'd like to invite you to join our channel and give this video a like. It's crucial to get exclusive access to the latest updates. When people inside the league start whispering about why a star never ended up wearing a certain iconic uniform, that is when the story really begins to breathe. And lately, the name Matt Olson has been floating around in conversations that sound more like late-night clubhouse confessions than official interviews. The rumor that keeps circulating is simple on the surface, but heavy underneath. That there was a clear moment when the idea of him going to the Yankees lost its shine. In hushed tones, sources say Olson looked at the situation and felt something was off, not just financially, but structurally, culturally, and emotionally. The narrative suggests that salary expectations were treated like an afterthought, something to be negotiated down rather than respected, and that alone already planted a seed of doubt. But what really pushed the hesitation further, according to the speculation, was a sense that the leadership at the top did not project the stability or vision a player of his caliber craves. From a distance, the Yankees looked like a giant, but from the inside, Olson allegedly saw cracks, moments of indecision, and a front office that felt reactive instead of commanding. When a player imagines his future, he does not just picture the stadium lights, but the daily conversations, the direction, the belief that everyone is rowing the same way. In this whispered version of events, Olson felt that alignment was missing, and that realization quietly changed everything. As the rumor deepens, people close to the situation describe Olson as someone who values clarity and respect above all else, and that is where the salary discussion became symbolic rather than purely financial. The talk is that the offer, or at least the approach, felt lower than what his impact and consistency deserved, almost as if the organization assumed prestige alone would fill the gap. In these speculative retellings, Olson did not hear confidence in the numbers, but caution, and caution can sound like doubt to a player who believes in his own value. Even more intriguing is the claim that meetings with decision-makers lacked a strong central voice, someone who could look him in the eye and say this is the plan and you are at the heart of it. Instead, the story goes, messages felt fragmented, passed through intermediaries, softened by uncertainty. For a first baseman who thrives on routine and trust, that environment can feel unsettling. People say Olson started comparing what he was hearing with other places that offered not just money, but conviction. In that internal comparison, the Yankees allegedly began to feel less like a destination and more like a question mark. This is the kind of doubt that does not explode publicly, but quietly redirects a career path, leaving fans to wonder what might have been. The speculation becomes even more layered when you consider the pressure cooker that surrounds a franchise like the Yankees, because leadership in that environment has to be louder than the noise, not swallowed by it. According to those spinning this rumor, Olson sensed that the front office was constantly juggling external expectations, media narratives, and internal politics, and that juggling act diluted their authority. A player stepping into that storm wants to know who is in charge when things get rough, who sets the tone in the clubhouse, and who absorbs the blame when adversity hits. The whispers say Olson did not get that reassurance. Instead, there was a feeling that responsibility floated, that accountability was shared so broadly it lost its edge. When salary talks then entered that same fog, the combination was unsettling. The idea that you might be asked to carry enormous expectations on the field without feeling fully backed off, it could be a deal breaker. In these speculative conversations, Olson's inner circle allegedly urged him to think long-term, to choose an environment where leadership felt steady and supportive. The Yankees, for all their history, did not check that box in this telling. It is not about disrespecting the logo, but about trusting the people behind it. As this rumor continues to circulate, another layer emerges that frames Olson's thinking as deeply personal rather than opportunistic. Those close to him allegedly say he wanted to feel wanted, not just acquired, and that distinction matters more than fans often realize. In the speculative retelling, the Yankees' approach felt transactional, almost routine, like one more move on a massive chessboard. That tone, combined with the perception of a restrained salary structure, made the whole pursuit feel colder than expected. When leadership does not radiate passion, players can interpret that as a lack of belief. OLSON, according to these whispers, wanted to walk into a situation where the front office spoke with one voice and where commitments felt firm rather than flexible. The absence of that energy created distance. Even casual conversations reportedly lacked warmth, as if everything was filtered through caution. For a player who sees baseball as both a business and a relationship, that matters. The rumors suggest OLSON ultimately felt that if things went wrong, fingers would point rather than shields being raised. That fear, subtle but persistent, shaped his perception and nudged him away from the Bronx before anything became official. What fascinates fans and analysts alike is how this rumored decision contrasts with the public image of the Yankees as an automatic dream destination. The speculation challenges that myth by suggesting that not every star is seduced by history alone. OLSON's alleged reasoning paints a picture of a modern player who weighs organizational health as carefully as market size. Salary in this story becomes a reflection of respect, and leadership becomes the anchor of trust. Without both, even the brightest spotlight can feel harsh rather than inviting. The whispers say OLSON did not want to spend his prime years navigating mixed messages or fighting for clarity behind scenes. Instead, he sought a place where communication flowed cleanly and authority felt earned. That preference, if the rumor is true, speaks volumes about how players evaluate franchises today. It is less about nostalgia and more about structure. The Yankees, in this narrative, were not rejected outright, but quietly set aside as OLSON followed his instincts toward stability. Fans may never hear him say it publicly, but the rumor continues to grow precisely because it feels plausible in a changing league landscape. As the story circulates further, it has started to spark broader conversations about how front offices present themselves to elite talent. The OLSON rumor acts like a mirror, reflecting questions that many players might be asking privately. Are salaries aligned with expectations, or are they justified by tradition alone? Is leadership visible, decisive, and consistent, or diffused across layers of management? In this speculative account, the Yankees struggled to answer those questions convincingly in OLSON's eyes. That does not mean they lacked ambition, but ambition without clear direction can feel hollow. The idea that OLSON consciously stepped back because of these factors gives fans a new lens through which to view roster building. It suggests that even giants must adapt. Whether every detail is true almost becomes secondary because the narrative resonates with a broader shift in player mentality. OLSON, in this rumor, becomes a symbol of that shift, a star who listened to the quiet signals rather than the loud reputation. The second part of this speculation dives even deeper into the aftermath, because once a player decides internally that a place is not right, every interaction afterward is filtered through that conclusion. According to those whispering around the league, OLSON's tone subtly changed as the Yankees' pursuit continued, becoming more distant, more reserved. This was not arrogance, but resolution. He allegedly felt that the low salary posture was not going to change meaningfully, and that leadership uncertainty was baked into the structure. At that point, continuing negotiations felt performative rather than productive. In this telling, OLSON chose peace of mind over prestige. The idea of waking up every day knowing exactly where he stood mattered more than the allure of headlines. People close to him supposedly describe a sense of relief once he mentally closed that door. It allowed him to focus fully on environments that match his values. This is where the rumor becomes almost philosophical, framing OLSON's choice as a statement about self-worth. He did not want to constantly prove his value to people who were unsure how to lead him. That internal clarity, according to the story, was liberating. The narrative then shifts toward how the Yankees are perceived in these whispered circles, not as villains, but as an organization at a crossroads. The speculation suggests that internal power dynamics may have diluted accountability, making it harder for players to identify a true north. OLSON's rumored hesitation becomes an example cited in conversations among agents and players alike. They allegedly point to it as proof that even the most storied franchises must evolve their communication style. Salary discussions in this context are not just about dollars, but about messaging. A lower offer signals restraint, and restraint without explanation can feel like doubt. The Yankees, according to the rumor mill, did not bridge that gap effectively. For OLSON, who values straightforwardness, that was decisive. He wanted leadership that spoke plainly and stood firmly. The absence of that voice echoed louder than any marketing pitch. This portrayal does not accuse, but it questions, and those questions linger in the air long after negotiations end. As fans digest this speculative story, many are re-examining past pursuits that ended quietly, wondering if similar dynamics were at play. The OLSON rumor invites that kind of reflection because it frames decisions as emotional ecosystems rather than isolated transactions. In this telling, the Yankees' low-salary stance symbolized a broader conservatism that clashed with OLSON's sense of his prime value. Leadership ambiguity then amplified that clash. Together, they created friction. People close to OLSON allegedly say he never wanted drama, only alignment. When alignment seemed unlikely, he stepped away. This version of events paints him not as someone running from pressure, but as someone choosing clarity. That distinction matters, especially in a league where narratives can quickly turn unfair. The rumor suggests OLSON respected the Yankees, but did not trust the structure. Respect without trust, however, is not enough to build a career chapter. The speculation continues by exploring how this decision might influence future stars evaluating the Yankees. OLSON's rumored reasoning becomes a case study, quietly passed along in agent meetings and player conversations. It raises the idea that leadership presence is now as valuable as financial muscle. Players want to know who has their back when the noise grows loud. In this narrative, the Yankees failed to project that assurance convincingly. Salary negotiations that felt cautious reinforced the perception. OLSON, according to the whispers, read those signs clearly. He understood that once you join a team, the tone is set early, and changing it later is nearly impossible. Choosing a place with strong leadership from the start felt essential. That belief guided his path away from New York. The rumor does not claim bitterness, only pragmatism. OLSON did not burn bridges. He simply chose not to cross one that felt unstable. But before we continue, please remember to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support allows us to keep bringing you the latest news about the New York Yankees. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments. Toward the end of this speculative tale, the focus turns inward, imagining OLSON reflecting privately on what could have been. The whispers say there was no regret, only confirmation. He believed he made the right call for his mental and professional well-being. The low salary offer, the unclear leadership, the sense of fragmentation all combined into a picture he did not want to step into. For him, baseball is demanding enough without internal uncertainty. This rumored perspective humanizes the decision, stripping away the glamour and showing the weight behind it. Fans may never hear him articulate it so bluntly, but the story persists because it feels grounded. It speaks to a player choosing environment over empire. Whether fully accurate or not, the rumor reshapes how people view the Yankees' pursuit and OLSON's absence from it. In the end, this speculative narrative lingers because it touches something deeper than one player and one team. It questions how legacy organizations adapt to modern expectations and how players assert their worth beyond statistics. OLSON's rumored statement about not going to the Yankees because of low salary and leadership concerns becomes less about criticism and more about standards. It suggests a player who knows what he needs to thrive and is willing to walk away from even the brightest spotlight if those needs are not met. For a YouTube audience hungry for behind-the-scenes truth, this kind of story resonates. It feels like a secret shared rather than a headline announced. And as long as the whispers continue, the idea that Matt Olson chose stability over tradition will remain one of the most intriguing what-ifs in recent baseball memory. As the rumor keeps circulating, another angle starts to emerge that makes this whole situation even more intriguing for those who love reading between the lines of baseball politics. Some whispers suggest that OLSON was also paying close attention to how internal conflicts were handled within the organization, observing from afar how mixed messages often reach the public. In these speculative conversations, people claim he noticed a pattern where players were subtly blamed when things felt unstable, while leadership stayed vague and protected. That dynamic, according to the rumor, raised a quiet red flag for him. A player like OLSON, who thrives on consistency and accountability, allegedly does not want to operate in an environment where expectations are sky high, but support feels conditional. When you combine that perception with a salary structure that seemed conservative rather than assertive, the picture becomes clearer. The Yankees, in this telling, did not fail in effort, but in reassurance. OLSON supposedly wanted to feel like a cornerstone, not a replaceable piece. That difference matters deeply to elite athletes, even if fans rarely hear about it. The speculation paints OLSON as someone who carefully read the emotional temperature of the organization and decided it was not warm enough to call home. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the New York Yankees, please subscribe to our channel and give us a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.